What's going on, ladies and gents? This is Bento, and I've decided to take the Steam controller on a little playtest with the Typing of the Dead Overkill. Now, you wouldn't really expect the Steam controller to have a lot of keyboard functions, but one of the really nifty things about the Steam controller is the fact that if you ever need to type in-game, or if you ever need to, just type in general, it actually does have a on-screen keyboard. However, when I tried working with the on-screen keyboard in, the Typing of the Dead, it really actually blocked a lot of the screen. And there's no real way to change the opacity for it unless somehow I just overlooked it. But as far as I can tell, you really can't. So I decided to actually use a dual track menu function to emulate a keyboard, sort of, but it's not exactly one for one, but it's as close as I can get. So how I have it set up is that each of the trackpads is a touch menu, in which case I use the trackpad to move around for the keys and then click on it to actually type it in. I modified each of the keys to sort of be a QWERTY style keyboard. But because the touch menu only has a lot of buttons to offer, I had to add additional keys to extra buttons on the gamepad, or the controller. So for example, because T and Y I couldn't fit into the track menu, I actually have them on the left and right bumpers. And similarly, I have G and H on the middle, select and start buttons, and I have B on the left thumbstick. It's kind of weird, but it kind of works for me, I guess, just because it's kind of where like my B key would be on a keyboard. And I also have other functions on the face buttons. I have the B as my escape, just in case I need to exit the menu. I have A for, actually just for the number 0 specifically, because the numerical pad doesn't have a 0 in it. Oh, and I do have a numerical touch menu that's mode shifted when I hit the left grip. And that's only really if numbers ever pop up. And I actually have dash as my Y button. And the only reason I have it is because there's a couple names that actually have dashes in them. And I also have the right grip to hit tab. And you need to hit tab in this game because you need to sometimes pick up items. I also have a backspace function set to X, and you just need that in-game because it allows you to untype on a target and select another one. I sort of like how I set up the controller, but still the hardest part about it is trying to learn how to type with your thumbs. The nice thing about the touch menus though is that you don't ever have to select it as if it was a mouse. The keys and numbers are actually restricted within the trackpad, so it's impossible to actually swipe off them. So with enough time and practice, typing, you can actually memorize the keys on the trackpad, and you'll be able to type at a pretty reasonable speed. Sort of similar to how you'd be texting on your on-screen keyboard on, say, iPhones, for example. I highly doubt you'll be able to type as fast as your keyboard, and if you can, that's pretty amazing. But that being said, I think it's an odd but pretty fun way to try the Steam controller for a game that's dedicated only to keyboard typing. So just one more thing, guys. The Typing of the Dead Overkill actually comes with the House of the Dead Overkill game that was originally on the Wii. And so I thought this would be a fun chance to actually use motion control. I like this just because I wanted to emulate some of the light gun that was back in the arcade cabinets for House of the Dead. I mean, it's pretty much just playing the Wii version of the Overkill game, but I thought maybe because the Steam controller is out, it'd just be a little more fun to try it this way. And the way I have this set up is I only really have 3 buttons. I have my left and right triggers set to be right and left click, and I have a right trackpad to emulate the mouse movement, and I have the motion controls activate when I touch the right trackpad. Again, I just want to use the right trackpad still because I need to center it just in case. If you really wanted to be hardcore, I guess you could just have the motion controls on all the time, but I much prefer to have that backup. Oh, and I actually have a reload button on the right bumper, so it's actually four buttons in total plus the motion control. So I think this part of the game is actually really fun to play test your motion control and just to get familiar with how it's responsive and how it feels in your hands. Plus, I think it's also cool that you sort of get to kind of emulate a light arcade shooter back in the day. It's definitely not the exact same thing, but it can get pretty close. But that's all for me, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.